The effects of the recession have finally reached us here in Temiskaming. For some workers at Tembec, this means layoffs, less working hours. The Community Channel has invited Mr. frankdottori, President of Tembec, to give us an overview of why this is happening. As President of the Canadian Pulp and Paper Association, he is also in a good position to tell us what to expect in the future. Welcome to our studio, Mr. Dottori.
Thank you.
I understand you just this morning, came back from Sault Ste. Marie to receive an award. Can you tell us a bit about this?
Well, it's similar to what's held in Ville-Marie for northwestern Quebec, where they give awards to recognize people's contributions. And I was nominated by Spruce Falls to receive the Executive of the Year award for Northern Ontario. And I was lucky enough to win.
Because things are going so well in Spruce Falls.
Well, I think the Spruce Falls is a bit like Tembec back in 1972-73, and so there's quite a spirit there. You know, it's a bit like it used to be here 18, 19 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can get back to that subject later on. Maybe to start off, can you draw us a picture of the pulp and paper industry, a general overview of how things are?
Well, it's not a pretty picture. I think as was evident last year, the industry lost over $2 billion. And this year it's well on its way to losing over $1 billion, and probably will hit close to $2 billion. It's the worst crises that the pulp and paper has seen since the 1930s. Prices are down 40%, and volumes are down because of lack of demand. There's a worldwide recession, not only in Canada, United States, Germany, the Far East. And so it's having a disastrous effect, and this hasn't been helped by the Canadian government policies, where there's been high interest rates, and until recently, until the last few months, a very high Canadian dollar, which has, of course, contributed to making the industry here in Canada suffer more than the industry in the rest of the countries.
The fact that the Canadian dollar is going down, will this help? Is there a bit of hope in the future for
certainly,
that?
That's a big factor. That's going to be a tremendous boost to the Canadian industry. The dollar at 80 cents versus 84, 85 cents. Just in Tembec alone, for example, every time it drops a cent, it means about $2 million to us. So it's very, very significant. So we're delighted to see it drop. We've been bitching and complaining, as most have heard me, over the last few years. And so this is a welcome relief, and will certainly help the situation.
The fact that the interest rates are high, does that sort of balance the fact that the Canadian dollar is low?
Well, it does in some case. For example, in Tembec's case, when interest rates go up 2%, like they did recently, we have a lot of debt. We borrowed a lot of money. And so always has a very negative effect, which eats up a good percentage of the effect of the dollar coming down. The best solution is to keep the interest rates down and the dollar down, and then you'll see the industry recover and start making profits again.
But that's for the pulp and paper industry because it does a lot of exporting.
Yeah, for example, like Tembec, I mean, we export 95% of what we produce, so it has a tremendous impact on our financial situation.
If we come back here to Temiskaming and try and understand, recently the workers voted against your request, or the company's request, for a wage deferral. First of all, why did you ask for this? Why was it so important for this deferral?
I think what's important is that a company has to make profits. And I think there's a lot of concern, as I mentioned, because of the industries. You see tremendous losses with all the pulp and paper companies, and Tembec has been no exception. We've had fairly significant losses. And I think that there's some concern in the financial circles on which companies are going to make it and which are not going to make it. We thought that the agreement by our employees to defer their wages, as they did in 1982, would send a signal, including to our bankers, our customers, that we have still the Tembec concept is there and strong, and we have a commitment from our employees to make sure that this place succeeds long term. There was a vote of confidence, and I think a lot of people have said, well, it made a difference of $2.5 million. Well, that's a big difference. The fact that we were paying it back was really a sort of a deferral. So on a long-term basis it didn't. But it was more like a vote of confidence that the employees were behind us and we were going to make this thing work and succeed. And we were going to use it basically to go out there as a marketing tool and as a sense of confidence that shows that Tembec is strong, everybody's committed in the way we're going to go and be very successful in the future. So obviously I was disappointed when a strong majority said no, and I was particularly disappointed that we have some of our employees who, I guess I would call them leaders, so to speak, who I think know better, but have their own political ends and basically distorted the facts, and you know, I think we're not constructive, and I think that was very disappointing.
Distorted the facts. Some of the rumors that we've heard is the fact that they didn't have guarantees. That seemed to trouble them a lot.
Well, I think, you know, it's like every place else. Sometimes you have to stand up and make a decision, and I think the employees are certainly aware of what's going on. I mean, if they watch TV, I think they can watch what's going on, and you know, you can have a $20 an hour job and not work, or maybe you can have one at $16 an hour and work all year. And I think that's pretty, to me, that's pretty simple economics. We obviously, you know, like to try to pay our workers like everyone else. A lot of people have said, well, you know, you're asking us to defer $1 when we're already paid below the industry. But if they look back a couple of years ago, or even 2 years ago, when they received $3.50 an hour as a profit sharing, and even last year, and they worked all year, I think that's not true. I think the employees here made more money than the rest of the people in the industry. So you've got to take it on a long-term context. Some people have said, well, you didn't go out and sell it strong enough. You didn't go out and threaten the people, you know, that if you didn't do this. Well, I don't think we like to operate that way. I think we made a request. We put the facts on the table. I think people had a choice, just like a lot of other things, and they decided to go against it. So I mean, it's not a question of having a grudge and saying, you know, we're going to do something about it. It was an honest request, and
But will this refusal affect in any way the company's decision in regards to future projects? I mean, a while ago you referred to the Tembec concept, which when it first started. Is it still there, that special union management relationship, or is there work to do there?
no, I think in general the relationship is still there. I think with a lot of the I'd say with the majority of people, it's still there. I think what happens, like anything else, you know, what is it? Familiarity breeds contempt. So people get used to it, so it becomes very blasé. So to most of us here, it's you know, sort of everyday affairs. When new people come in, they say, "This is remarkable. You people have." We don't notice it because you know we live it every day, and after 18, 19 years, I guess it tends to sort of become an everyday event. But I think there's still a very special relationship, and we think it will continue in the future. I think there's obviously, you know, some people out there who don't accept it. These are the so-called agitators who think, you know, it's negative and whatnot. A lot of that is passé when you look in the industry. Look what's happening across Quebec. You know, we've had flexibility here since the day we started. We were always ahead of the rest of the industry. Nowadays, the rest of the industry is catching up to us, and in some cases they're going to pass us unless we continue to try to evolve. And that's what we hope the employees are smart enough to look around and inform themselves and make well-informed decisions. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying necessarily. I'm saying just go out and get your own facts, look what's going on elsewhere, and then make your own decisions. And I think if they do, they'll see that what we're trying to do here is in their interests, not you know, not trying to mislead or manipulate workers. I mean, you know, our employees. Why should we? I mean, you know, I sort of have a hard time when people say that. And you know, I think we're all here trying to do a good job, trying to protect our own jobs too, and make Temiskaming a better place.
The fact that how would I say this? That the workers refuse a deferral. I suppose you had to go to Plan B. And which plan was that? It's to cut costs, which brings us to the layoffs.
Well, you know, we're competing in a world market, and we have to be competitive. I can't go and tell my German customer, look, you have to pay me a little more pulp because I'm in Temiskaming. I pay more for wood, or I pay more for this, or I'm not as efficient. He doesn't care. Just like when you go and buy tomatoes at the local store, you don't care whether they come from Gig or from Mexico. You look at the price. So we have to, we're losing money, we have to reduce our cost of manufacturing. And there's two ways of doing that. One is to increase production, and the other way is to cut costs. And the nice way of doing it is to increase capacity and you sell more, so that if you have one employee that produces 100 tons per day and you can produce 110 tons per day with the same employee, then even if you pay him 10% more, your costs are evens. So if you pay him $10, or let's say $100, and you produce 100 tons, it costs you $1 per ton. If you produce 110 tons and you still pay him $100, then it only costs you 90 cents per ton. So you've got a 10% productivity increase. But on the other hand, if you have to pay the employee 110 and you're only producing 100 tons, now it's costing you $1.10. So your costs have gone up 10%. So you have to reduce. Either you have to do it with 9 people instead of 10 people, because in a fixed market you can't sell more product. So you have to cut people to get the efficient. And that always hurts. We've always avoided that here. We've always worked with employees and always tried to expand and invest. And a lot of people say, why are you investing? Well, we're investing so we don't have to lay off people, so we can continue growing and get more productivity, and therefore we can protect jobs, and as a long-term strategy. So we don't cut back capital investment. We keep investing, we keep building, so that we can keep protecting the jobs long-term. That's a fundamental reason.
Even though you are, for example, you predict that this year, 1992, there will be major losses for Tembec, but you still keep investing in acquiring. How is that balance?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you look at it in Temiskaming, we still had the old, just a sulfite mill, you'd probably be down to maybe 400 people. Instead, we have over 900. And why do we have 900? Because we invested. We built Temcel, we built Temcel 2, we built additional facilities in the sawmills, new board machine, alcohol plants. All these things are investments. And as a result, they've created jobs, and they've protected the jobs. So people that started there 18, 19 years ago have had their jobs. They've increased in salaries. They're better off today. Their children are working there. There's outsiders, people that we've committed to Temiskaming, helped them grow. That's what capital investment does for you. If you don't do it, look at what happened to Tuatavia. I mean, they shut the place down because they didn't invest. Look what happened in Temiskaming in 1972. They stopped investing in 1963, 65. Within 7 or 8 years, the mill shut down. Spruce Falls is a perfect example today. We've gone into Spruce Falls and we're investing $200 million to protect the jobs of the employees long term. So I think it's naive for people to say, why are you investing? Pay us the money. Well, if you want a job for 3-4 years, we can pay everybody a couple bucks an hour, and then we'll all go broke and we'll shut it down and go do something else. That's not our strategy. Our strategy is we're trying to protect jobs 10, 15 years down the road. And to do that, you have to invest and stay competitive.
Which just brings us to why you invest in places like Spruce Falls, and that your interest in Matane remains. You still have an offer on the table for that?
Well, no, the offer, I know what the news media said recently. We made an offer for Matane for a very strategic reason. The government has given major grants to Matane and has given major grants to Cascade, which are competitors to Temcel. They did not give grants to Temcel. They gave a grant in the first Temcel, but on the second Temcel, for example, we did not receive a grant. So we think it's a bit of unfair treatment that they give it to our competitors and they don't give us a grant.
Is this the Quebec government?
Yes. And at the current time, they're talking about doing the same type of special deal with a Korean company to go in and take over the plant. Now, that is going to create a major competitor to Temiskaming. And we think it's in our self-defense and protection to take an interest in that plant. And saying, if you're going to start that plant and the government's going to put in money, then let us control it. Let us get involved so we can protect ourselves and rationalize it. Plus, we also think we can make it run. But at the same time, there's an element of wanting to control the CTMP market. And on the other side, there's a defensive measure to try to protect ourselves so we can control the startup and when it comes on and control the market. So I think strategically it's a proper thing to do. In Spruce Falls was an opportunity. And I can tell you, we put in $25 million, and that's got nothing to do with, there's a question of where you invest and paying people's salaries, and they're two different things.
I think people don't understand that,
well,
the fact that Tembec and Kapuskasing are two different entities.
That's right. Well, but it's no different than people say, well, if you're not making any money, why are you investing? Well, it's the same reason, you know, if you're making $20,000 a year working, does that mean that you don't buy a car or a TV set, which is an investment? Okay, if you think you're going to earn enough money down the road that you can do it, and you think you want it for some reason, companies look at it as a way to earn money. And Spruce Falls is going to make a lot of money for Tembec. It's going to make Tembec very well off in a couple of years. And I'll give you an example just this year. Just this year, it'll contribute several $1 million of profit to Tembec. Next year, we think it may contribute as much as $5 million. Now, in addition to that, we have $25 million invested. We are earning a management fee, which brings money into Tembec. We're earning over $1 million in interest for our investment. Plus, we're going to make $4 or $5 million of what we call equity in that investment. So it's one hell of an investment. It's making a lot of money to Tembec. It's going to bring a lot of money into Tembec and help us do some of the things we're doing. So, you know, I think it's unfortunate that people don't understand it. Maybe we're doing a bad job in communicating it to them. But you know, I wish we had a couple of Spruce Falls. We'd be a lot better off.
Will this be reflected, I have to ask a question because people will probably wonder, will this be reflected in the profit sharing, for example?
No, it doesn't, because the profit sharing depends on what people do at the site. So, for example, in Béarn, the Béarn profit sharing is based on what the people in Béarn can produce. In Huntsville, it's the same thing. If the employees at Huntsville work hard and they figure out how to do the things better, save costs, make a profit, they earn profit sharing. In Temiskaming, we group all the companies because there's so much in between the companies with steam and chemicals. To avoid a lot of hassles and a lot of arguments, we just pool it and say everybody shares. Otherwise, you know, someone will say, how come I'm working in Temcel and you know, they're making money, I want to work there, I don't want to work in a sulfite mill. So to avoid all those conflicts, we pool the profit sharing. But that's why it's important for everyone that works there, be it a Temfiber or Temcel or Temboard, to look at how we run the business and say, how can I help this business make more money so I can get more profit sharing? That's the purpose of profit sharing, to get people involved, to look at things and saying, geez, you know, what if we did this and what if we did that? And we can make more money at it. So we hope that, you know, every employee that's out there will have that kind of, what do you call it, constructive attitude, because it's so easy, you know, to criticize. You can say, well, dummies, they don't know this and they don't know that. Well, if you know how to do it better, tell us, show us how to do it better. Never mind criticizing. If you know how to do it better, come and show us how to do it better, and maybe we'll give you a chance to let you do it if you know how to do it.
I think workers are, I don't think it's, they don't doubt the abilities of the Tembec management, but maybe they think maybe you don't understand the worker themselves, you know. For example, if we think the wage deferral, they say we needed that dollar to keep our families going. Could that be part of the problem?
Well, sure, but I think that's not a fair statement to say that, you know, management doesn't understand that. I mean, we all understand, you know, the basic economics, that you need a salary and to survive, and if you don't have enough money to send your kids to school and whatnot, you know, I mean, I grew up as a farmer where, you know, times were tough, so, and the times have been tough till recently. Now, I mean,
so you take that under consideration.
Sure, we understand that. Yeah. But it's tough for someone, you know, making $16, $17, $18 an hour when you look around and what's going on, you know, compared to a lot of the rest of Canadians, they're earning $12 an hour, and make a strong statement that, you know, you're sort of at the bottom of the totem pole. Okay, so I think you have to take it into context. But I don't think, as from a management point of view, that, and it's never been our philosophy, that we're going to, you know, make the money on the employees back by not paying them wages. I think our objective has always been to pay them competitive wages and hopefully pay them more than anybody else with the profit sharing and you know, their potential on owning shares and making money. So our objective is to have them as the highest paid employees in the industry, not, you know, the other way.
So this is a long-term thought.
Well, I think we've done, in the last few years, I think it has been the case. I think they have earned more that they work here. You know, we haven't taken any shutdowns. Now, we've had some problems with Timboard, but I think we've, you know, we haven't met it 100%, but we're certainly trying to meet 100%. And I think with Temcel 2 starting up, I'm an optimist. I think the market's going to come roaring back, not next year. I think for the next 12 months we'll still have trouble. But in 1994, 95, 96, the economy is going to come roaring back, and we're going to make a lot of money, and you know, the employees are going to be very, very happy again, and so am I, and I'm sure so is everybody else.
You spoke of Temboard, that there's some difficulty there. Do you predict that things will also settle in that market, in that field?
Well, Temboard has been one hell of a challenge for us. Of course, the mill was supposed to start up a little bit earlier than it did, and then, of course, we had the problems with our partner that was supposed to, I guess according to our agreement and understanding, was supposed to take a lot of the product and handle a good part of the marketing for us, and of course that fell apart. So we ended up with obviously a big hot potato and a lemon, which at the time, which has taken us some time.
But that you want to keep.
Well, yeah, very definitely. We acquired it 100% in January of this year, so we now own it 100%. So it's a sub, and it's going to cost us over $20 million this year of cash, which is, you know, has hurt us very badly. And we think next year it'll take $10 to $15 million to keep it afloat. But we have a commitment to do that next year. We're going to be committed. It's taking a lot of pulp from Temcel. And can take pulp from the sulfite. So there is some very positive effects to the whole structure. If Temboard wasn't there, you know, we'd have another 50, 60,000 tons of pulp to sell in the market, in a bad market. We think we've got a good management group that's slowly coming into place. And again, but I think we'll have to wait till the economy picks up, so there's going to be another year of suffering. But if the economy picks up in late 1993, it's going to be a good long-term investment, because the cost that we had forecasted is exactly there, the margins be there, but we're selling on the market at significant discounts over the market price, and that's what's really hurting us.
Why are you saying that the market will pick up in the end of '93? What makes you say that?
Well, obviously I'm an optimist, you know, and always have been. Otherwise, you know, we wouldn't have gotten involved with Tembec in '73, you know, because we thought that I'm a believer that if you have a vision and you work hard at it and use a bit of brains and creativity, and you've got a lot of people that are committed and work hard, you'll get there and you'll beat the competition. In addition, that's what makes, I think, Tembec competitive. In addition, I think the markets, you know, always go up and down. I mean, look at 1982, 83. Everyone thought we were going to go down the tubes. We were going to go bankrupt. You know, that's why we asked the employees at that time to defer their wages. We come roaring back in, you know, 85, 86, 87, 88. We made record profits. Today, we're back, you know, down in the, you know, down sort of getting hammered over the head. But we've got modern, efficient operations, and the market will come back.
But you can't control the market. The worldwide economy is you can't.
No, we can't, because you know what happens to us is, for example, in Temboard, we had an order for 1,400 tons in Thailand, and you know they had their little coup or attempted coup in Thailand, and of course, you know, it affects us in Temiskaming. The situation in Brazil affects us in Temiskaming because we have customers in Brazil. So when they take out the President Collor, you know, the inflation takes off, and people don't have the money in, and so our letter of credit gets delayed, and then there's a change in policies, and so it hurts us because we had another 1,000, 2,000 ton orders going in. There's a major recession in Japan, you know, so in Korea and Taiwan. So in those areas, again, it impacts on us in Temiskaming because we sell in a global environment. But there is a worldwide recession today, but I think it's hit bottom, and I think over the next 12 to 18 months it's going to turn around, and when it turns around, we're going to make lots of money because we have good modern facilities, and as long as the employees stay committed and work hard and help us be the best in the business, we are going to be the best in the business and make a lot of money at it.
You stated that you were in Japan and Taiwan. How did that go? I guess you were there trying to get new orders, or was there more to it than that?
We were there for two reasons. I was there, one, as chairman of the Canadian Pulp and Paper Association. We have meetings with the Japanese, and so we had all the Japanese companies there. They're going through, they're only running about 80% capacity, so they're going through some of the same problems we have, but they can set the prices there. Here it's illegal, but there they can set the prices, and government lets them do that. So obviously they're not suffering as badly. But we were looking for trying to sell business. We've got a big new pulp mill coming online, You know, so we have another 150,000 tons of pulp to sell over the next year in a
You're
bad
speaking
market.
of Temsel 2.
Temsel 2.
Okay.
So we were there with Kavanaugh, and we went to visit some of our potential customers and existing customers in Japan and Taiwan and Korea. And I came back very optimistic. I think that, and I say optimistically, we could sell 40, 50,000 tons per year in that market. Now the question is, how do we get it there from freight? Because the freight's very expensive. So we'll have people working on the freight, trying to figure out how to increase our business. We have a fair amount of business there already. But I came back very optimistic. Those countries are still booming. They make me nervous. And I always say I'd like to hire a 747 one of these days and take our employees, you know, because we tend to bitch as Canadians and complain and whatnot, and just fly them over there and see what you can do if you decide you're going to do something.
It's
and
a whole
take
different
positive
mentality,
attitude.
though. I don't think we could switch
Well,
Canadian mentality to Japanese or
I know we
vice
can't.
versa.
I know we can't, and that's what a lot of people say, but the problem is that if we don't start thinking a little bit that way, they're going to bury us. I mean, there's no question. It's economic war out there, and these people work hard. They're complaining because they have to go down 5.5 days a week of work. I'm not suggesting that we should go to 5.5 days, but I can tell you that there's a different commitment there to succeed. There's a commitment to jobs. There's a commitment to investment. It's very similar to what we're trying to do here, but there it's as a country. And they're going to be formidable competitors, and that's why we have to invest here, keep investing, and keep our employees
To keep ahead of
motivated,
them,
to
or
keep up with them.
keep up with them. Yeah.
And hopefully, if we had cheap money like they have, we can get ahead of them. But that's a political decision that we can't influence too much. So.
Maybe in conclusion, we can, by the time this program will be broadcasted, the referendum debate will be over. Some predict it'll be no. Either way, how will this affect the company?
Well, you know, I think Tembec, we like to think we're very adaptable, so we're saying we'll survive whether it's a yes or a no or a split vote. I think we're going to adapt and survive and be successful. I think it's unfortunate that what we're going through is just representative of the problems in Canada. There's no vision, there's no leadership. We're just bickering about everything. You know, someone doesn't like, you know, this, and they don't like that, and they don't like this. And we're a nation of bitchers, and that's what I always say, including when I tell employees, you know, quit bitching all the time. If you know how to do it better, let's get out there and work at it and do it better. And I think, unfortunately, that's the malaise that Canada has, that we're a nation of bitchers, and we've got to change to be a nation of doers. And I hope that, you know, I think I learned a Chinese proverb that said, you know, it's a bit like every cloud has its silver lining. And I hope that when this exercise is finished, we're all going to learn something and take a little more constructive attitude and build a country and build a company and get out there and say, not what can you do for me, but what can I do to help make this better company a better country. And if that comes out of it, I think we'll all be even better off than we are today.
I'd like to thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come
you.
and talk to us, and see you next time.
Thank you.